What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock, what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the charts are showing and based off what the data is suggesting. I'm also going to talk about the earnings that are coming out for Netflix and IBM and why on earth these are very huge for the markets and how they may affect Tesla, with the options changes showing for Tesla, and also what Elon Musk, the man, the myth, the legend, Elon Musk, tweeted on his Twitter page, which is very important for Tesla going forward. Now, before I break anything down about Elon Musk, before I give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow for Tesla, I do have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed 6 free stocks, each worth up to $3,500. And you could always sell these 6 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some Tesla shares for free in this limited time offer that ends in just 5 days. So please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at Tesla, this thing did something very similar to what I predicted. I did predict that Tesla would get a nice push up into open to about that 740 level, and it ended up going a little bit higher than I predicted. Then I predicted that later during the day, within the last couple of hours, we'd see Tesla kind of bleed off. I anticipate that this thing would actually drop a little bit in the red. We could kind of close around 711. We ended up closing at 721. So it was just barely green, up 0.2%. But I was right about this bleed off that we ended up seeing in the day. Now, overall, obviously, Tesla is actually still doing very well relative to the market. The SPY was red and Tesla was still green. And it was very rare to see days like this because the whole market was essentially moving in unison. So Tesla had this gap right here. It basically filled this gap down here. That was basically predictable. And implied volatility did go up for the overall market as Tesla and many companies have these earnings coming up. So that's something to really watch out for when you are trading. Overall, what on earth is going on with Tesla now? So I want to talk about this right here. Looking at the earnings calendar, we have some big names coming up. I think IBM just reported their earnings, and they actually did very well. But then we also have Netflix reporting their earnings for tomorrow. So that's also going to be very important for the markets. So IBM, their earnings came out, and they actually did super, super well. And let me talk about why this is good for Tesla in the market. You can see right here, their earnings per share was about $2.31 versus the $2.27 expectation. You can see right here, when it comes to revenue, the revenue is at $15.54 billion versus the $15.18 billion expected. So they did pretty well when it comes to their earnings. Maybe this could cause the market to push up just a little bit, but then we do have Netflix's earnings coming out for tomorrow as well. And there is one thing that concerns me about it. So Netflix, obviously their revenue is pretty decent when it comes to expectations, 8.05 billion. Netflix is going to report their earnings for Q2 at the end of the second quarter, but their earnings per share is expected to be $2.99. Not bad either. But the subscribers, this is what's a little bit concerning to me. They expect a loss of over 2 million users. Now, is this already priced in? It possibly kind of is. So I don't know if it's going to be as bad as before when it comes to their potential drop. But it could still lead to some bearish price action because this could make so many headlines, could be very, very big. Now, why did Netflix lose this many subscribers? Obviously, the pandemic happened. There were these massive lockdowns, and millions of Americans were staying home, and people all over the world. So, as people were staying home, Netflix gained a ton of subscribers. I mean, their stock price soared to the moon. And what happened was, as the lockdowns began to end, a lot of these subscribers became lost as a lot of people went back to work. A lot of people started getting very busy. They just cut their subscriptions. And in addition to that, specifically Q2 was expected to be worse than Q1. And that's because of the fact that in Q1, we still had the Omicron variant. We were still in that transition phase. People were still looking for jobs and so on and so forth. And as Q2 came in, we saw a lot of improvements. We saw way less cases for the virus, and we really became closer to normal life in the US, and it's the same for many countries all over the world. So this big loss that people are talking about is Netflix's base, its subscription base, it's actually dropping worldwide. And we could actually see a potential loss right here in this next report. And I'm not sure how the market will respond to that. If you look at Netflix's share price, you'll notice that Right over here, let me actually pull up the 2 hour candles. Right here, you can see Netflix had these giant gaps down, just like this and this one right here. Does this mean Netflix is going to gap down again? I can't guarantee that. I mean, it is possible for us to slowly fill this gap for the next few months as well, but it does seem like a lot of the damage has been priced in. But from a technical standpoint, there are two main things you could argue. We could be forming kind of like a cup and handle like this, followed by a handle and a nice push up if this was more bullish. But from a more bearish standpoint, we have been testing these low levels many times, and it does look like Netflix is likely going to drop a little bit tomorrow because we did get this rejection right over here instead of going back to previous resistance. So with that said, Netflix could end up dropping, and this could have a negative effect on the markets. So if you look at SPY, check this out right here. The SPY also has a gap down here. The gap is at around 378. It does look like it's going to turn red again, and this bearish price action from SPY could push Tesla and many other companies down. Now, one of the things I noticed, I'm not going to make a major claim based off of this, but you'll notice that the SPY before had this triple top that formed. Right here, we had a little top right here. We dropped another top, then we dropped another top, then we dropped down pretty low. And so far, the SPY has kind of shown a very similar pattern. We can see right here, relative to its key resistance levels around that 390 to 393 range. We're kind of respecting a downtrend right here, and SPY is slowly kind of getting hit like this. We also have a gap right here. So it's looking to me like the SPY might actually break down in the next couple of days. As a result of this, I am anticipating a little bit of bearish price action from Tesla. I'm not saying this thing is going to crash to the floor or anything like that, like as of right now. In fact, when earnings come, I would actually like to see Tesla drop a bit because typically when you drop it before earnings, that could be a good sign for a potential reversal if there is some surprise announcement, or if Tesla does announce the stock split date, it could lead to some very bullish price action. Overall, the volume is improving for Tesla. It's holding up pretty well, actually. So I'm still optimistic that, look, this thing could drop in the short term. There could still be some pretty good price action. And the somewhat, I would say, long term, maybe the market's going to be a lot more red. Their market has more room to drop with the next Fed meeting and things like that coming. Sure, but long term, still very bright. So what am I essentially seeing for Tesla from the chart right now? What you'll notice is that Tesla formed these tops right here and it's slowly kind of descending. It's making like kind of like lower highs, but it's also making higher lows. So it's still kind of respecting this pennant right now. And that's actually still a pretty good sign. It's holding up pretty well. We did get a bit of a bleed off today, which shows how Tesla can be affected by the overall market. And we filled the gap right here. So to me personally, what could end up happening is the SPY does turn red, which I think it likely will, Tesla is going to test that 715 range. And if that doesn't hold us, this thing is going to most likely start testing that low $700 level or the 700 level flat, just like that. So what could happen tomorrow? From what I'm seeing, let me actually draw this out for you. I do expect something very similar to what happened today to happen. I think that, excuse me, hold on, let me adjust my chart to make this clear. So what could happen is Tesla could get a nice open. Let me first change this color to make this a little bit more clear. I apologize about that. Anyways, what could end up happening is I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla gets a pretty decent open. We actually push up again as we typically do. So Tesla could actually push that 730 range. And if we break that, maybe touch 740, right? And then once we have a really nice open, we might see this thing slowly start to bleed off again, but it might actually turn red this time and bleed off a little bit faster. So I am anticipating quite a bit of volatility. And I think that with the SPY dropping, I think the SPY is more likely to drop a little bit sooner. So we might see Tesla start to drop a little bit more. If it doesn't hold 715, it might go as low as that 700. That's very much in the realm of possibility. We should get a bounce off 700 in my opinion, kind of hold these levels and slowly get a push up after that. Maybe get rejected off 715 and kind of hold it like this around that low 700 range, but be a little bit in the red. So it's going to be kind of flat when it comes to the open to the close, be a little bit in the red, maybe down like 0.3%, something minor like that. But I do see a move kind of like this happening. I think we're going to have a pretty decent open. I think Tesla's going to push up with the market. I do think we're going to get another bleed off with, Netflix's earnings coming up, the SPY having that gap. The SPY might actually get a rejection, continue to drop, which would cause Tesla to also drop a bit, and we might see this thing turn red a bit. Now, we could get a bounce off 715, also a pretty key support zone. If that's not the case, which I think it's a little bit less likely to be the case, we're probably going to bounce off 700, then push up after that near close, and still close a little bit red. It won't be that bad. We're still holding up a lot better than before. That's still what my chart is essentially showing us. Now, in the later days of the week, let me just show you this, especially going into earnings. We could test the bottom of this wedge again, which would put Tesla in that 690 range. Still very possible. And I would like to see this thing drop before earnings, like I said, because if we push up too hard right before earnings, typically if earnings aren't that great, if Tesla like shows their EPS drop, something like that, revenue isn't as great as expectations would be, hypothetically, that could lead to some bearish price action. It won't be as good for the future. If we drop before earnings, that would be a lot better. And in addition to that, I want to talk about why on earth I think some of the fears for the market may not be as big as some people think, because IBM had their earnings and they actually beat everything. They won when it came to earnings per share. They beat on revenue. So I'm still optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. I recommend doing the same thing. If earnings is coming, okay, I want to warn you all something about options. When earnings come, implied volatility goes up. This makes premiums expensive for options. So if Tesla does start like pushing up, their earnings once again is on the 20th of July, which is after the market closes, which is going to be on Wednesday. If Tesla pushes up hard, be very, very cautious. Be very careful because IV crush could get you in a flash. Be very careful with that. It's a good opportunity to potentially sell puts or sell calls. Not necessarily the same thing as shorting. It's just an opportunity I was talking about. Today was a very good day to sell covered calls if you had the ability to do that. I just want to put all that information out there. But with that out of the way, the future is still very bright for this company. Don't worry too much of just the short term. I am excited for their earnings as well. They may have some very big announcements. We'll have to wait and see. I will give you guys a preview of what on earth earnings may show. With that out of the way, I gave you guys my prediction. Looking at max pain for Tesla, as of right now, it looks like it's at 705. So market makers are anticipating a bit of a drop for markets. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that this will stay because there have been days where this was completely off, other days where this actually was accurate. So right now, it's looking like the options chain is set to see a slight drop in Tesla near the end of the week. But I can't guarantee that. It really depends on earnings and other factors, what announcements come out. This could change in a flash. But as of right now, just be prepared for this. The last thing I want to talk about is this right here. Elon Musk actually tweeted about this right here. So Clean Technica tweeted that 25.5% of US electricity coming from renewable energy. And we're seeing this big increase in the percentage of our energy that's now electric energy that's renewable. And that's very, very good. That's a very good sign for the future, very good for Tesla. And Elon Musk tweeted progress is being made essentially. So this is very good because in the future, I've mentioned this many times before. Electricity, electric, EVs, they are the future. So, in the long term future, if the US or many other countries start to transition into nuclear power, just hypothetically, that could be used to generate electricity. Electricity will be very important for cars that are not necessarily using fossil fuels anymore because they're not renewable sources. Long term future, right? EVs seem to be the future, in my opinion. I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger as the decades go on. And this is just the beginning for Tesla. The future is still immensely bright. With that out of the way, I gave you guys my prediction. I am warning you guys about some, very important things you should know about options, implied volatility, and things like that. And short term, we'll have to wait and see what earnings shows. We have the split potentially coming, the stock split. That could be a very bullish catalyst, not from a fundamental standpoint, but based off FOMO, based off the sentiment it really brings on the table. So things are still looking pretty good. I am still more on the optimistic side. I do think we should have pretty decent price action soon, but there are like some things that could be a little concerning, such as earnings or the FOMC meeting to just look out for. Anyways, I will kind of inform you guys about tomorrow. So stay calm, cool, and collected. I will most definitely see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon, and peace out.